Greetings, people of Earth. Welcome back. My name is Jax, and today we are tackling Chapter 2 of the Dao De Ching. This has been titled by James Trapp, our lovely translator, as Not Doing. We talked about Wu Wei and not doing in the last episode, but today we're going to get to sort of the root of what we were talking about. And if you recall last time, we also talked about the idea of these polar opposites sort of being connected. And this translation of this particular chapter does this beautifully. So I'm going to read it and then we're going to go into it. So, if we understand what makes beauty beautiful, then we can recognize ugliness. If we understand what makes goodness good, then we can recognize the bad. Void and amplitude have the same origin. Difficulty and ease beget each other. Long and short define each other. High and low support each other. Music and voice harmonize with each other. Before and after follow each other. This is the constant. From this it follows that the wise man acts through not doing, teaches without words, and interacts with creation without initiating. He makes but does not own, acts but does not rely on the results, achieves but does not linger to be recognized. In not seeking recognition, his credit becomes endearing. So, again, there's a beautiful illustration. Here, I'll hold it up. You have the original Chinese and the verse itself. This is really cool. And like I was saying last time, the idea that many of these things we look at as opposites are actually inherently connected, it's a really interesting idea. And it's one that takes a little bit of experience to recognize. I think when you first learn of topics and ideas like hot and cold or old and young, you kind of see them as total differences, black and white. You know, there's no connection with the other side. And it's not until you kind of look at Taoism or you get a little bit older that you realize that a lot of these things are connected. If you've ever seen the yin and yang sign, you know, the circle with the black and white, you notice that on the black side, there's a little white dot, and on the white side, there's a little black dot. This example sort of personifies this idea that everything is interconnected, everything is actually connected really closely, and that by being one of the things, you have a unique understanding of the other one. I think it's the reason that, you know, grandkids and grandparents get along so well, is because they're so different that they actually get along so well, and they're so similar in so many other ways. But this idea that, you know, you see this all the time. Like I said in the previous video, the idea that you watch a cartoon with some ancient master who's going to teach the protagonist how to get better. Oftentimes this ancient master says stuff like, in order to go forward, you must learn to go backwards. And it's this sort of kind of funny wisdom that we sort of laugh about, but it's actually really connected. And the idea that, you know, these topics are connected and interdependent of each other. And the other, of course, big concept in this chapter is not doing, Wu Wei. This concept of a flow state, or of being truly actualized and doing what needs to be done without excess, without ego, without influence. There's a lot of ways that people describe Wu Wei and not doing or non-action, but if you can just think of it as this zone, you know, you're in the zone, you're in this trance-like state where whatever needs to be done gets done. You're not actively worrying about extraneous circumstances or details. I think a lot of us spend our lives really concerned with how we look, what we're doing, the path of our life, you know, the story points, the plot of where we are going and how we are getting there. but not enough of us just simply enjoy life. One of the moments in my day where I really get to just live in the present, I go to the gym and I work out, I do my thing, I listen to some music, I try and just exist. And then I go for a run, and typically I'll run for half an hour to an hour. And again, listen to some music. I might listen to the Dao Jing on an audiobook or a podcast or something, and just be thoughtfully in my thoughts a little bit. But when I get into the sauna at the end of the workout, it helps me relax. I get to have some nice steam, and it's good for your body and all this other stuff. And I do some breathing and I do some meditation when I'm in the sauna. And it is a moment where I am able just to exist in that moment. I feel warm and relaxed. I've had a good workout, so my body is ready to rest. It's accepting of that. It's like, okay, I'm good to rest. And I'm able just to exist. And in that moment, I am not doing anything. I am not doing. There you go. Not doing. That is exactly what is happening. I am trying to exist. I'm not worrying about what I have to do when I get out of the sauna. I'm not thinking about my workout that I just had. I'm just existing in that moment. And this is something that meditation gives you that is so valuable, and it's not talked about a lot, but that clear headspace, that relaxed, just existing. It's something that our world right now attacks quite a lot. It's very hard to find a moment just to relax. Even I see this all the time when I see people even waiting for a red light. Stopped at a red light, I'll see somebody take out their phone and go onto Instagram or something. And that's just wild. It's supposed to be a moment where you're letting other people go through, but you can't be idle. These people, you have to be doing something. And that's a real shame, because we're told that we must be very productive. We have to be constantly doing something, producing something, learning something, seeing what's going on around us. And it comes from an evolutionary standpoint, I think. Us human beings are supposed to be alert, and we're supposed to be constantly thinking and active and planning and strategizing and making the next move clear to us. But that causes anxiety. That causes neuroses. That causes all kinds of physical and psychological stress and difficulty, and it all compounds and it builds. So I think it's really important to carve out some time throughout your day, wherever you can, to do some not doing, to plan some nothingness, to plan some no plans. And again, this is that inverse where it's one of those things where you just have to find a space that works for you. And it might seem totally counterintuitive, not productive, self-destructive, whatever it might seem to you, just do it. Because think of all the time you spend thinking about the past, wondering about the future, and not living in the present, not living in the moment. I know it's cliche to talk about, you got to live in the present, but that's a huge part of what not doing and non-action is. And it's that state of peace. At the end of the day, I think that's the best way to describe it. I've heard others describe it as peace, but it's finding that tranquility and maybe sitting with a cup of tea and just taking everything in, not processing, but just taking it all in. And so that's kind of what I think is really important in this chapter. Realizing that, goodness creates bad, bad creates goodness. There is no good without bad, and vice versa. Beauty and ugliness. I really like, there's several themes throughout the Tao Te Ching, and beauty is one of them. This idea of serene, beautiful things. And some of us are drawn to beautiful things, whether it's people, places, objects, nature. But Taoism tries to explain that beauty is in everything. There's many concepts from all over the world that talk about beauty in imperfection, beauty in perfection, beauty in something that won't last forever, beauty in something that does last forever. There's this concept, and humans are constantly interested in appearance and grace and elegance. but it's all interconnected to ugliness and difficulty and strife, and all of these things are sort of one and the same. And Taoism is sort of simply realizing that, you know what, everything is connected. Everything is this giant, intricate, complex universe. And that is what Tao is. It's this connection of everything all at once and nothing at all. And like I said, you're gonna hear a lot of this. I hope it's not frustrating. I know when you first get into Taoism, it can be a bit frustrating because you're listening to these people talk and it's like, this doesn't make any sense to me. I don't get how you're talking about nothing and everything at the same time. But that is really at the heart of what Taoism is. I mean, it is everything and it is nothing. And it is flow and it is not flow, and it is non-action and it is action. But it's about that balance and learning that everything is interconnected. So I really hope that helps. This is one of my favorite little verses. And I'll touch on the last part where it talks about sort of creation and recognition. I've heard this translated several times as sort of something like, the master does not concern himself with the things he creates. He creates them and he moves on. He doesn't look back. And this is a really interesting topic, especially in our world of production and economy and commerce, because I think a lot of us are meant and try to tie ourselves to our work, and we try and tie ourselves to our worth by our work. So if you are a painter, you create a beautiful painting, and for the rest of your life, you're known as the guy who made that beautiful painting. And that's a real unfortunate thing, because in Taoism, you're sort of taught that when you create something, you create it, you try your absolute best. Hopefully you're in that flow state, that non-action wu wei trance when you've created something, and then you move on. You know, you enjoy the joy you get out of making something in the moment is the only joy that you should derive from it ever. That's kind of what Taoism is saying, is if I create a beautiful painting, I should truly enjoy while I'm painting that painting or while I'm playing that song on the piano. But when I'm done, hang it up on the wall or, sell it or whatever, and move on. Move to the next amazing adventure, the next beautiful part of life. You don't let yourself stew on your successes or your failures, because you are not your successes and you are not your failures. You are you right now, and that is it. And so that's kind of what Taoism is talking about when it talks about sort of this idea of not needing recognition, not needing anything. It's something that I actually embrace a lot in my content. I don't have like a favorite video that I've done or like a topic I've talked about philosophy and life and all of these things. I don't have like a favorite video. I don't really watch my videos a whole lot. I edit them and I go over and I make sure everything's correct. But once I've hit that post button, that's it. I'm moving on. I'm moving to the next thing. I love doing this. I love connecting with people. I love creating content, but I do not let it be the be all and end all of what I'm doing. And I don't tie it to my worth. If this video gets 10 likes or 10 views, cool. I'm glad someone enjoyed it. That means a lot to me, but I'm not going to fervently obsess over what I'm doing. As soon as I'm done this Dao series of talking about this stuff, I'm excited to move on to the next thing. I'd like to talk about Confucianism, some stuff about Chinese proverbs. There's all kinds of culture and language that I'm interested in talking about. And if you're interested in the moment and these videos help, that means a lot to me. But the actual video and how well it does and its metrics and its analytics, irrelevant. I make these videos for the joy of how I feel, and in all honesty, these videos teach me a lot about Taoism as well, because I get to go over these topics and bounce them around, and we get to talk about them, and that's what's meaningful to me. So I'm not seeking, I know it seems like it, but I'm genuinely not trying to like seek validation or recognition. I'm just enjoying the connection and the being in the present with people. So I hope that helps on chapter 2 of the Tao Te Ching. Definitely Go read it in different translations until you're sick of reading it, and then go live in the flow state. And remember, not action is just as important as action. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you have an amazing day. Leave me your comments and your thoughts on non-action and the Tao Te Ching. And as always, guys, I will talk to you guys tomorrow.